Thank you, Madam Speaker. And first of all, let me wish you and all members of the Legislative Assembly and all our wonderful DLA staff a Happy New Year. Madam Speaker, I rise to speak in support of the Payroll Tax Amendment Bill 2025, which is a great measure to support our small to medium businesses who I've openly declared many a time to be the heart and soul of our economy. And Madam Speaker, I am proud to be part of a united 17-member government team that shares that sentiment and is taking many steps to create a business environment that will enable our small to medium businesses to grow and employ more local people, including trainees and apprentices. Now, having said that, let me say I'm philosophically against payroll tax in any form. As I've said many times when I was Deputy CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, personally I and many local businesses consider it an oxymoron of a tax. Why? Because payroll tax is essentially a tax on employment. I say again, payroll tax is essentially a tax on employment. And philosophically, all governments should be encouraging and incentivising employment, not taxing it. But pragmatically, I fully understand why governments, including the NT government, need to levy payroll tax. Simply because it is one of the few sources of own source revenue available to them, along with resource royalties and gambling revenues, etc. And this revenue is required to help provide essential services to our community, including health, education and policing services. Now, the challenge for all territory governments is how can we grow our local economy so that we can bolster our levels of own source revenue and reduce our future dependence on federal government funding. And that growth in own source revenue from sources other than payroll tax may then present opportunities for the NT government to provide additional support for our essential frontline services and possible further relief from payroll tax in the future. Now let's have a little bit of a vision here. Madam Speaker, imagine if we could become the first jurisdiction to have zero payroll tax. What a wonderful marketing tool that would be to help attract new business and investment in the territory and to support existing businesses to flourish and employ even more people. But Madam Speaker, unlike my Labor counterparts, I certainly don't live in la-la land. And I know this removal of payroll tax completely can't happen soon, given the parlous state of the budget position inherited by our government. But I still urge members to hold that vision and aspiration for the future. Now, Madam Speaker, as I said, ultimately, this all depends on growing our local economy. And it is only the CLP, I say again, it is only the CLP government that is already enacting a plan to support growth in 5 critical sectors in our economy, namely tourism, defence, agriculture, gas and mining. Now, I'll leave it to the Chief Minister and other relevant ministers to highlight the substantial advances we are already making in growing these sectors. However, Madam Speaker, I do want to draw attention to the growth and great opportunities being facilitated by this government in the onshore gas industry, including current developments in the Beetaloo Basin. Madam Speaker, unlike Labor, the CLP have always stood up for and supported the Territory's gas industry. And this industry can now proceed with certainty under our CLP government. We have this incredible resource right here and thousands of Territory jobs can be created over the next 20 years. But I'll leave it to the Deputy Chief Minister to update the Legislative Assembly on our progress to realise this specific opportunity. Now, my disappointment, Madam Speaker, is that this wonderful opportunity, with a genuine chance to grow our own source revenue, could have commenced some 5 years ago. But let's be clear, this opportunity to improve our economy for the benefit of all Territorians was stymied by a shambolic Labor government which didn't know whether it was Arthur or Martha. This was a schizophrenic Labor government that pandered to the Greens and the whinging from institutions like the disgraced Environmental Defender's Office to delay and postpone decision-making for purely misguided political and ideological purposes at the expense of the Territory economy and its community. I say again, at the expense of the Territory economy and its community. Madam Speaker, in the run-up to the last election, the former Chief Minister, the Honourable Eva Lawler MLA, found her road to Damascus moment and correctly decided that gas was truly part of our future. But I can't say all her colleagues, including some opposite, shared that view. And certainly the Greens and Independents rallied against it. Good grief, Madam Speaker. Imagine if the election had delivered a Labor-Greens coalition government. We would have had a government of total inertia. Thankfully, Territorians voted for a growing economy and not one of decline. Now, Madam Speaker, some people believe the former Labor government was a one-trick pony, a phrase I heard the Leader of the Opposition say previously. This is incorrect. It was a three-trick pony. I say again, a three-trick pony. Not only did the Labor government destroy our economy, it demolished our community safety and ruined the lifestyle of Territorians. And Territorians sent a clear message in the last election that they had had enough. And they wanted a government that had a plan focused on action, certainty and security, which was eloquently shared with the Assembly this morning by the Chief Minister. But enough of the past. Let's move to the future. Now, Madam Speaker, I've said before and I say again, Territorians deserve and need a credible opposition. And I'm always willing to offer constructive suggestions as to how they can achieve this. Now, I saw a glimmer of hope in the last sittings when two of the opposition members joined our united 17-member government team in voting for legislation to provide minimum mandatory sentencing for assaults on frontline workers. But obviously some members were still deaf to the widespread community support for this legislation. So I have here, I've mentioned it before, here are the free hearing test vouchers that opposition should avail themselves of so that they can truly start learning to listen to the community. And because I'm a caring and sharing person, I also make the same offer to the independent members of the Assembly. Now, Madam Speaker, despite some recent confused ramblings by the opposition leader on an interview with Katie Wolf, which left the community totally confused as to whether she fully understood why they were resoundingly voted out the Labor government of office, and Labor's recent descent into toilet wall poster policy announcements, I actually encourage the opposition leader to rally her divided team, take a strong pill of humility and get behind this government's plan to truly grow this economy with a strong focus on action, certainty and security. And unanimously supporting this bill will be a step in the right direction, and I urge them to do so. Thank you, Madam Speaker.